since y'all say y'all like my voice, I got a story time for you. When your girl was little, for some reason, God wanted to bless me with a deep, deep voice. I mean, it was deeper than now. So all through school, like middle school, high school, people would always be like, you sound like a man. You sure you're not a man? What you want? You want my birth certificate? Yeah, I'm a girl with a deep voice. So I was getting tired of it. If one more person tells me I sound like a man every time I raise my hand to answer a question, somebody gonna catch these hands. So here comes Pablo trying to try me. There was this cute boy trying to get at me in class because I'm cute or whatever. Hey, yo, don't talk to her. She got something wrong with her throat. She sound like a man. I cleared my throat and I said, Pablo, you're just hating because I have a deeper voice than you and you're a man. Guess what he did? Yeah, he shut up. Now, I love my voice.
I'm really bad at flirting because I always turn things violent for some reason on accident. I think my trauma kicks in. One time I was hanging out with this guy I really liked. We were on the couch and he was talking about the gym and I said, I could probably still take you, which is a line to get him to wrestle with me, and he did. And even though I initiated it, he was winning, and so I pulled my legs back, both of them, and I kicked him in the chest into his own coffee table, and the coffee table separated into two pieces, and I was more worried about the coffee table for some reason than I was about him. He was on the floor, as was the coffee table, and I was like, oh no, your mom bought this coffee table, she's gonna kill us, what are we gonna tell her? And he said, is my back bleeding? And I was like, do you have any wood glue? I think I can fix it.
Am I wrong for no longer bringing dinner for my wife after she claimed I never cook? I work at a nice restaurant as a cook, and every day when I get off from work, I always cook dinner for my wife and our 2 kids, 8 male and 6 female, at the restaurant before coming home. The only time I don't cook for them are on the weekends when I'm off, and that's when my wife does the cooking. We usually trade off who makes breakfast and lunch for the kids every other day, but for the week, I'm always the one bringing home dinner. Weekends, we sometimes get together with friends and they come over to the house. My wife usually cooks and I set the table and clean afterwards. One of her friends, Stacy, asked how come I never do any of the cooking and is it always on my wife all the time making meals for the kids, especially when I'm a cook myself. Instead of correcting her, she sort of laughed and went along with making jokes about, you know how it is. And Stacy laughed because her ex-husband was the same way. And then sort of ripped on me in a joking way how I better buck up before I become an ex too. My wife just said, well, let's see if he actually listens and starts cooking for once, joking about all the time I spend in the kitchen at work but won't do the same at home. It really pissed me off. I'm not the husband that just doesn't do anything after I'm home from work. I cook food for her and the kids at work, and on top of that, I make separate dishes for each of them. What she wants and what the kids want. All that after standing on my feet all day. We talked about it once they left because I don't appreciate being told I'm not doing something she knows for a fact I do. She didn't want to apologize for it because it was all just to be a funny joke. Even after telling her about how it hurt my feelings being put down like that. My wife said she felt like she had to go along with the joke so there wouldn't be any awkward vibes. But I said fine, if she can't apologize for something that was mean, just so she could laugh along with her friends, then I won't keep doing something she already claims I don't do. She's mad that I'm refusing to feed her over what happened instead of letting it go, but I can't help but feel mad about being made fun of like that when I'm busting my ass to provide for my family and still making sure they have food on the table every evening. She just thinks I'm an asshole for how I'm reacting when she's already tired at the end of the day, but still having to make food for herself.
On behalf of single people everywhere, please stop setting us up unless your single friend comes to you and says, hey, do you know of anybody that you could maybe set me up on a date with? Just stop. We're so tired of you guys pimping us out to each other, and the people you set us up with are crazy. One time, I got set up on a date with a guy who didn't even like music. We were just driving and listening to AM radio, and I said, would you maybe like to listen to some music? And he said, no, thank you. I don't like music. And I thought he was joking. So I left. And then he said, no, really, I don't like music. I don't get what the hype is. Everyone's so obsessed with music. But when you think about it, it's really just different noise than what we're listening to right now. And I was like, sir, are you a serial killer? Because that sounds like something a serial killer would say. And if you are, could you please just calmly pull the car off to the side of the road, let me get out, and kill me there, instead of making me listen to AM radio for the rest of our date? And another time, somebody set me up with a guy she didn't even know. She met him one time, and he had a dog. And she was like, my friend Kate also has a dog. You guys should go on a date. And then she said, but Kate, she was trying to talk me into it later, and she was like, wouldn't it be so cute though if you guys fell in love and then your dogs fell in love? And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like a solid basis for a relationship. And so I went on a date with the guy. He picked me up in the middle of winter. It was 30 degrees out. He took me to a park. We went on a walk. It was very cold. It was so cold. And so finally I said, I would like to not do this anymore. And he took me back to his car and he said, well, I just took you on a really long walk. Should I like feed you now or something? And I was like, should you feed me? First of all, yes, always. Second of all, have you been on a date with a human woman in a while, or like just your dog? And then when I tell people I don't want to get set up, they get sneaky about it. Like one time I got in a huge fight with my friend's fiance, and then she called me later. He was wrong, I was right, which is why I wasn't shocked when she said, hey, he feels really bad about what he did to you, so he bought you an extra ticket to come see Star Wars with us tonight. And I thought that is so sweet. And so I went to go see Star Wars with them. And while we were driving, he said, would you mind taking off your Seahawks beanie? And I said, no, why would I do that? And he said, well, not everybody likes the Seahawks. And I said, yeah, that's the whole point of sports. And then when we got to the movie theater, he had set me up on a date with his cousin. It was a trap. It was an actual trap. And his cousin said, ew, Seahawks, that's embarrassing for you. And I was like, your mom's embarrassed of you. And then he said, that was mean. I was just joking. And I was like, so was I. But apparently I hit a sour spot.
Story time! So you want to know what it means to have Hispanic parents? They're so overprotective. If it would have been up to my parents, I probably wouldn't have dated anybody until I was like 30, 40, 50 years old. I would have been dead in my coffin before they said, you should date somebody. So when I was in high school, you know, I was cute or whatever. Well, I thought. So there was this little boy that had a crush on me, and it was Valentine's Day. And he brought me some flowers. He brought me chocolates. He brought me a whole teddy bear. Bro, this dude wrote me a poem. Shakespeare up in here. So he's like, I have a surprise for you. Close your eyes. So I'm like, thinking in my head, what this dude about to do? He gives me all of this, and I'm like, thank you. Thinking in my head, how am I supposed to get rid of all of this? Because if my parents find out I'm going to die today, you are not gonna believe what I had to do, because I was deathly afraid of my parents. I grabbed the bouquet of flowers, chunked them across the street, threw the chocolates out, set the note on fire, and left the teddy bear in the corner of the street. I wasn't risking my life.
This is why you should never step foot on the faraway dock. In 1994, an 11-year-old named Mark arrived at summer camp and made his way over to the dining hall where the director was going to talk about the next couple of weeks. The director emphasized that no one was allowed to swim out to the dock located way out in the middle of the lake, although she didn't say why. Mark and the 3 other boys in his cabin were so intrigued by this faraway dock that the next day during lunch, while everyone was eating, they hopped in the lake and started swimming out. When they finally got out to the dock, they were a little bit let down because it looked like any other dock. But they decide to make the best of it. They climb on top and they start playing the game where they all stand on one side until it floods. Last one to fall off wins. As the corner sank, they started to hear a scratching sound coming from underneath the dock. Suddenly, hundreds of these big meaty spiders come crawling out through the breaks in the wood and slide down the slanted dock towards the boys, who panic and fall forward, and there's spiders swarming their hair and their face. Turns out the dock was off limits because it was overrun with dock spiders, and the boys flooded their nest.